Thanks. Okay, this is Ed again, and welcome Adriana Fuentes in Mexico City, and Dr. Ken Lloyd in LA, and Stephen Howard in Phoenix. There will be others joining us. I wanted to get this show underway. The theme here, in addition to the general theme of developing international business relationships, the theme of this show and a couple of others that will be announced soon under the same theme is the wonderful role of international business women, women in international business and in government and in society and in life. And because of that, it's become obvious that the talk of and the acceptance of striving for psychological safety at work, in the streets, in life, at home, of course. Psychological safety is, the time is now, maybe beyond past time. So, Stephen, in your book, Humany, and it's all about psychological safety, but you didn't use those words. You describe it as just common sense. You know, I think one of your famous sentences is, "We don't wake up waiting to be managed."
That's very true. No one wakes up in the morning wanting to be managed by their boss. Certainly no one wakes up wants to be micromanaged by anybody, whether it's their boss, their spouse, or their children. But psychological safety is so important. And the best research I can cite came from Google about 2 years ago. And they found that the number one contributing factor to successful teams in the workplace is an environmental psychological safety. And they define that as, an environment where it's okay to make mistakes, you learn from mistakes, you share mistakes, you don't sweep mistakes under the carpet, you're not afraid of being criticized, so you're willing to throw out ideas, and no one's going to criticize you for your ideas, even though it might be crazy, but they add to your ideas and create innovation through your ideas, and a lack of drama in the workplace. And as we've discussed on other shows, so much drama in the workplace is a result of miscommunication or misunderstanding of communication by individuals. So yeah, and that's what human leadership is all about, creating a workplace of well-being and harmony. So if you do all those things, you'll have harmony and well-being, as well as innovation and creativity and employee engagement.
So I want to welcome Diana, who's here with us in Latin America, in Bogota, correct?
Hi, and everyone. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I was running a little bit late after another meeting, so I apologize.
That's great. Okay, why don't you please introduce yourself? You're an attorney, and in Bogota with a company called Newland Chase, which is a very large organization. And tell us a little bit about yourself. And please meet Adriana Fuentes in Mexico City.
Thank you very much. Hi, Adriana. Very nice to meet you. Okay, yes, my name is Diana. I am a Colombian attorney. I moved to Toronto after I finished my law degree here in Colombia. And while living in Toronto, I did my LLM in international business law. And I started working at what is currently known as KPMG Law. It was Wimber Turner before Global Corporate Immigration. And then I stayed there for some years, 4 or 5 years, and then I moved to EY to continue my career in corporate immigration law. Then I moved back to Colombia, and I started leading the immigration practice of a local law firm. And I started working with Newland Chase 2 years ago. Like, we opened our offices here in Colombia about 1.5 years. I started a little bit early to help setting up the entity here. So yes, I'm a Colombian attorney. All my career has been focused in immigration and employment law as well. I also hold a degree in employment law here in Colombia. And while I was working here in the local law firm and Brigado Rutia, I also assisted with employment law for mainly for expats for foreign workers. And I'm also a mom of a 13-year-old girl, and I'm currently based in Bogota.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for that bio. I'm sure our audience will want to be in touch with you. What is your email or website that people can find you?
I'm
And
gonna share it in the chat, but it's very easy. It's my first name, Diana.monsalve, my last name, at newlandchase.com. And our website is, you just Google Newland Chase and newlandchase.com and it will come up. And I'm just gonna share my email address in the chat.
Okay, great. The chat is free access 24/7. Please exchange messages. And of course, no sales pitches, but exchange contact information. Let's go to Adriana. Tell us about your career. It's always been in public relations and marketing, as far as I understand it. And you're very active in the Mexico City business community. And you're recently in a new position, aren't you?
Yes, hello Ed, hello Ken, Diana, Steven. Nice to be with you again. And yeah, my career, I've been always in the communication, public relation, and marketing department for departments for different industry. Right now, I'm working in KPMG in the external communication and public relations department. And as you know, I'm also a writer, so I just really love what the topic that you choose to talk today, because definitely psychological safety, it's a challenge in workplace and business. So I'm just happy to talk today about it. And definitely the last book from Stephen, Human Leadership. I just love that book because talking, going to the topic that we'll talk today, definitely, I mean, in my point of view, uh, empathy and humanity and emotional intelligence is essential for, in this case, for businesswoman leadership. So the psychology safely definitely impacts, the outcomes, productivity, and also innovation and leadership in today's work.
That was very interesting. So, what's your take on Presidenta, La Presidenta?
Well, I don't like to talk about politics, but I will just say one thing, that I'm happy to have for the first time in history when, women as president, and especially because in Mexico, unfortunately, we have like a very macho man. Mexico, it is a macho man country. And when we talk in business or in workplaces, it is a macho man country. So I'm happy that we have this president as a woman. So we'll see what happens. But in my perspective, I'm happy. So we'll see.
That's great. This is Dr. Ken Lloyd, who's in LA, was evacuated because of the fires, but the home survived and he has survived. But I understand you just had an earthquake rumble.
Yeah, we're getting all the interesting things in nature. We've had a couple of earthquakes recently, and now we're in mudslide season with the rains that are hitting. So it's been nothing short of ridiculous out here. But that's we take life as it is, and we do our best, and you try to be as prepared as you can, and we are. I can show you a list just on the other side of the room of everything to quickly grab if we have to evacuate the house. But that's the reality of today. Uh, just going back to Adriana's comments about Claudia Scheinbaum, she is, from what I'm now reading in our media, so well regarded in Mexico, as well as in the US, for some of the stances and actions that she's taken to deal with changes that have gone on here, and expectations that were foisted upon her and on the country, and how she has stood up just as a remarkable leader in the eyes of many people in Mexico and beyond. I think that's just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's quite a leadership thing. And in the newspapers the other day, it showed the picture of, looked like 1 million people in the square celebrating, recognizing her. Super.
Yeah. It's like she's of course very popular, and she really tries to whatever kind of she decide to do, communicate with the people, with the Mexican people. So that's good. I think she's a good leader. So yeah, like everybody is just trying to really have like uh yeah, put our trust in her, and especially with all this situation that we are just passing with the US and in the last few weeks. So it's very challenges as us as a Mexican and for the country, but we're happy with her, and especially with her leadership. So that's good.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so our friend and guest Ken Lloyd, Dr. Ken Lloyd, has just published a new book. And Ken, why don't you talk more about um, international women in business and in life, and this book's title, Performance Appraisals and Phrases. Now, the sub is for dummies. Well, we're not dummies, but and you read all these pages in here. Look at all these pages. It's amazing. Makes a great fan cool off when you do that. But so with the idea, I'm making a joke, but it's the idea here in this book is to help or refresh and to help junior managers become more senior by doing things properly. Is that correct?
Sure. I had written a book for Wiley Publishing, Performance Appraisals and Phrases for Dummies, 15 years ago. And then they came back and said, would you do a new edition of it? And I said, of course, because so much has happened in the world of work related to performance appraisals and more. But these days, the idea of a once a year sit down with your manager and get some feedback from something that might have happened 6 months ago, it's all totally archaic. There's far more trends going on in terms of continuous feedback, regular communication, two-way communication between a department leader and the employees. The whole focus is far more on the future. And if an employee has had some performance setbacks, it's not just to chastise, let's work, let's build, let's grow. How can we help move forward with what's going on here? So employee development, career development, coaching, regular feedback, that's what we call feed forward, which Ed seems to love, about focusing on what people can do to improve their performance and really their whole outlook on life by taking various steps, upskilling, training, education. It's far broader than that now, and all of that is in the newer version of the book that has this entirely different focus. And it does tie into what we're talking about today, because talk about safety in an organization. How safe do you feel when there is an appraisal waiting for you at the end of the year, and who in the world knows what's going to be on it? Am I going to get positive feedback, negative feedback? What's going to happen? As opposed to all of that is gone. We have open communication. I'm able to express my views. If I'm, as someone said earlier, making some crazy comments, that's okay. Let's talk about it. Some great ideas have come from crazy, in quotes, suggestions. But all of that is so different under kind of the new setting and framework for employee appraisals and overall leadership. And it ties right in with what Stephen has put in his book in terms of trying to build humanity instead of building an authoritarian one-way, not even a dialogue, but a monologue kind of culture.
Stephen?
As Kim was talking, and as you know, Ed, I do a lot of leadership coaching. And it's interesting that as an outsider, when I coach people, basically every coaching session is a performance review because they're psychologically safe to bring up issues with me. They can say, I'm having trouble with this person. I don't know how to do this. And so the whole coaching session is basically them self-reflecting on their performance and having a desire to improve their performance. So it's just a different way of, if people in the organization would take this coaching mentoring approach, which is the underlining aspect of human leadership. If they would take that approach with their own employees, quite frankly, it'd put people like me out of business, but it would be better for the organizations.
Oh, well, I am
Maybe I should withdraw that book.
I'm speechless there. But so Diana, what's going on with women in business leadership, political leadership in Colombia?
Well, in Bogota, our former mayor in Bogota was um, a woman with her wife as in the Senate. She was more on the left side, but like she won the elections. Unfortunately, many of the things that she wanted to do, she couldn't because she had to deal with the pandemic and lockdown. So most of the plans that she had in mind of developing the city faced the pandemic. So she had to change all of her plans, what happened to every other country and city in the world. And being a woman, she was punished by it, by society. Sounds horrible, right? Because they'll constantly say, oh, she's a woman, she can't do all of the things that she promised to do. She was like the first woman being a mayor in Colombia, in Bogota. And like she was somehow punished by society. That some of the things that she wanted to do, she didn't do them because it was lockdown and she had to attend other type of affairs in the city. But she was punished somehow for being a woman and a lesbian woman in power. So she was constantly in social media, people in social media, you don't know how many of the people that comment and do this type of things are actually real people. But you could see Colombia is also a very macho man culture in that sense. So you could see comments like, oh, a woman can take over this, a woman can do this. So I clearly know like she's a very strong woman. I'm not very aligned with her political views at all, but I do respect that she actually did her job. She was there, and it was very sad to see how people would punish her just for being a woman in power.
Very interesting. Adriana, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree about what Diana says. And I just wanted to share with you that right now I'm writing my fifth book, and the name is A Strong Woman During Crisis Times. And doing some research for this new book, talking with different women around their 40s and 50s, one of the crises that we pass through is the professional crisis. And why the professional crisis? Because unfortunately, we don't have a balance between our work, our personal and professional life. And that's, one of the things that all of them, they just talk with me about. I mean, we don't have this balance. We don't have mental health and well-being balance. So this is kind of some crisis, to think about what we should do, like just quit our jobs and, try to do something else or be entrepreneurs, or because definitely having a work balance is so important. So for my point of view, psychology safety, it should be a personal philosophy. So it's interesting working in this book because I will talk about different crises: personal crisis, economical crisis, relationship crisis. But right now, the research that I'm doing about professional crisis, it is a crisis. So interesting that to share that with you guys.
Well, thank you very much. And we're joined from England, Annalieza Landa, and thank you for balancing out this boardroom meeting here. So welcome, my friend.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Sorry, I don't know if you got my message, but I'm sorry I was
Yeah,
a
I
bit late
did.
on today.
Yes, that's quite all right. I was
Yes.
early, so we'd sort of balance out.
Good,
So,
good to hear. Good to hear.
yeah, so Annalisa, I'd like you to meet Diana Monsalves, and she's an
Hi,
attorney
Diana.
in Bogota, Colombia, in Latin America, and also in Latin America in Mexico City is Adriana Fuentes. And Stephen Howard, I think you've met before, of course, and
Yeah.
Dr. Ken Lloyd, Annalisa. tell us a little bit about why
Of
you were late
course.
today. You're running around doing things. It's a
Oh,
busy day.
it has been a busy day. It's been a
Yeah.
busy meeting day. And I've had quite a lot to pack in today. So I thought if I don't eat, I might just slip off my chair in the middle of this meeting. So I had to go and get something, just something to eat before I came on. So yeah, thank you for your patience. Yeah, I know Adriana and I've met previously as well. Yeah. So, but Diana, it's lovely to meet you. And of course Ken and Stephen, as you pointed out, we've been on many times before. So yeah, it's
So
great to be here.
tell us about this charity gig that you have now. You're helping people, and some of the proceeds go directly to a charity. Is that correct?
Oh, right. Okay. So this is something that I set up for International Women's Day. And yes, so these were, well, the theme, as we know, was accelerate action. And we're seeing a lot of memes flying around and a lot of reposts of accelerate action and people posting about it on the day. So I thought, well, you can't really do better to accelerate action than to participate in a challenge, because that's all about accelerating action. That's all about taking bite-sized steps every day or every couple of days over a period of time to actually make something happen, to actually get things moving and make. I devised 3 challenges. I did one for fearless feminine leadership. The other one was for proactive male allyship, guys. And the last one was for building an inclusive workplace. So that was more for senior leadership or people who'd maybe taken the role of DEI. I know it's a very topical subject in the States right now. But maybe in their family business or a small organization, they've taken that responsibility on, that role on, but they perhaps need some help or some guidance. And this challenge wouldn't tick the legal boxes. It wouldn't tick the boxes of compliance, would certainly give them actions to do, take action in the workplace that would either test their inclusive policies and see how well that they have actually built inclusion into the workplace, or would help them to create a more inclusive culture and improve the harmony subject that Stephen talks about a lot in the workplace. So I launched these, and I thought it would be nice to actually make a donation to a charity that supports women at the same time. So I was offering to donate 50% of the profits to Action Aid UK, which does a lot of work all around the world, championing women in leadership, especially after humanitarian disasters. And after disasters and crises, women are extremely vulnerable in some territories, and they try to encourage and empower women to step up and lead at these times. And they do an awful lot to protect women and girls all over the world in various different capacities. So I was trying to raise money for that too.
So let me ask you, if you could, if I can just jump in for a sec. And while you're on this topic, type into the chat the precise name of that charity, and is there a website? Type that in and put in your contact information, and then it becomes a permanent part of this program going forward. The world will see this. And that's how to communicate and get an ROI from your time here. Okay, this is very, very interesting. So I also want to use this occasion right now.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you. Really kind of you.
Thank you. It's my job. And so have been notified that several of the women in different places around the world who said they wanted to come on the show and they're not here yet, are apparently having time issues or whatever. So I've decided to expand this theme, same theme, to at least 2 more dates during the balance of March, early April, and redo the theme and perhaps bring in additional people who couldn't make it today. So I'm just want to use this opportunity to speak to the audience and to you, of course. So let's go back to you, Annalieza. Behind the wall there that I see, the image is Maxwell Leadership Training, and you are also the entrepreneur of counseling people on how to use values to make your mark.
Yes, absolutely. Right, I'm just quickly sending this because you encouraged me to do that. So, whoa, there we go.
Okay.
Right, that's in the chat now. Yes, yes, make your mark. Well, making your mark. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I
Clear.
noticed that you were leading in a bit, Ed, and I wasn't quite sure whether you were having difficulty hearing me. Oh,
No,
good.
I'm
Okay,
just
great
trying
stuff.
to look bigger on the camera like that. That's all.
Right, okay.
And I'll go disappear now. Goodbye. Yeah, wow, here I am. Wow. Okay.
It's so funny. Oh, I loved it. Love it, love it. Yes, making your mark, ultimately it's about how you make people feel. So when I talk to leaders or leadership about or aspiring leaders about how to make your mark well, it's about how you make the people around you feel and how well you shine a light on them, illuminate their strengths and the talents and their skills that they bring. And yes, values and ethics are fundamental. I mean, they're the building blocks of good culture and leadership. And this is what the message I try to get across is that if you want longevity as a leader, there's a difference between legacy and notoriety. And we live in a culture at the moment where leaders seem to forget how important it is to protect their name, their family name. There was a time where protecting the name for future generations really mattered to the father of the family, and of course women now obviously working and leading. It matters as well that they too protect their name, protect their legacy. We see too often now people just striving for fame and notoriety, whether it's they're leading multinational corporations or they're leading in politics. It's all about shocking people, getting notice of them. They don't really care about their reputation. They don't even really care about litigation. All they want is notoriety. They want to be noticed. They want fame. That is not the kind of legacy that leaders should be striving towards. Leaders should be striving towards a legacy that their children and future generations can look up to and be proud of. So that's one of the things that I talk about, is the difference between notoriety and legacy, and trying to instill into leaders that if they're going to have long, healthy, happy careers and relationships, because it affects their relationships with their wives, with their children, with their loved ones, they need to focus on the values and the ethics of leadership, and to make sure that they're building their careers and building their businesses on those strong foundations that are going to support them for many years to come. We know that, yeah, I was going to say businesses stick their values on the wall on their website. It's a marketing exercise. They go past them every day. They're not living them out. And there's nothing that damages credibility and consumer confidence and confidence as well in the workplace amongst employees. Dissatisfaction and low morale and a high churn are caused when people see the leaders doing something, not acting out their values. There's a dissonance there between what they say and what they expect other people to do and what they do themselves. So
thank you for that. Dr. Ken Lloyd, the psychological safety of the leaders not living up to what's on the wall or on their advertising slogan, that's pretty stupid, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Just to say, Annalieza, I don't know if it's a British expression or not, but I would say spot on. Okay. Your comments are absolutely right on target. If a leader's
thank you, Ken.
if a leader's objective is fame, that really means the leader is focused on himself or herself. It's all about me. And I just want all this recognition, all this attention, all the spotlight on me. And I truly believe that if that's a leader's focus, fame ultimately will turn into, if you will, infamy. It doesn't work. It doesn't last. It is not helpful short term and certainly not long term. So ironically, if a person's goal is to have fame, they should actually focus on legacy. And what's really being said there is, let's focus on inclusivity, openness, honesty, integrity, building our people, building a strong organization, working with the team, not everything for me, my attention. It's leaders who, if you hear the word I coming out a lot, that says an awful lot, as opposed to we and let's, working as a team and as a group. So I absolutely agree with you. And I think that leaders who come in with the goal of fame and self-aggrandizement and attention are doing a total disservice to the organization. And ultimately, they're going to have to pay for it, whether it's financially or psychologically or just in terms of their reputation at large. They're absolutely going against what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, thank you. Adriana, in the past,
right.
your books have you did a masterful job organizing quotes from various notable people and then bringing them together under a headline. And is your new book going to follow that same pattern, or are you going to establish a different way?
I mean, actually, all the books, their main objective is supporting each other as women. I mean, I think it is so important as a women and leaders, we can support one another. And it's not the same, of course, to be a boss, to be a leader. I mean, we have to learn so many things, to be a good leader, of course. But here in the workplace, I mean, we are very competitive women. I mean, we're not nice with each other. So we have many things to learn. And talking about psychological safety, I think integrating this psychology safety in leadership training and development programs, it's one of the things could help in the workplace. And another thing that I think is important, building inclusive workplaces, is today, in today's world, is a big challenge. The interaction of gender, culture, and psychology safely is important. So the fifth book, it's not exactly going to talk about support each other. This is my personal opinion, but at the end, I mean, if women, we have different crises in different stages in our lives, we have to support each other. But unfortunately, in the workplace, this is not happening right now.
Stephen?
Well, Adriana is absolutely correct. And, and going back to what, Ken's talking about as well, I think one of the solutions, quite honestly, is to get more women into leadership positions because they tend to have less of that desire for fame and focusing more on legacy. I know I'm generalizing and being stereotypical here a little bit, but it's true, at least from the women leaders that I've worked with over the years and done work for over the years. And I think, I think there's two things that the business world needs more. We need more women leaders, and we also need more women writing books about leadership and business and nonprofits and things. Because if you look at the literature, too much of literature is male dominated, and often, a woman, I've talked to many women about this, they'll read a book about leadership, even something like How to Give Feedback, or Ken's book, performance reviews. And some of it, all of it's very good in Ken's book, but some people might say, well, I don't feel comfortable doing it that way. And that's when they turn to an outsider like myself or Ken for coaching and mentoring to implement that. But if more women would write books about leadership, management, coaching, mentoring, sharing their experiences, supporting one another, I think the world would be better off. So I'm going to toss out here, Ed, if I can here, a challenge. I'm going to combine Annalieza's action and Adriana's support. And here's what I'm going to do to help solve the world's problem. I will offer a 50% discount on coaching for women, up to 10 women. But here's the kicker. A woman has to sponsor another woman. So the 50%, Annalieza, if you want coaching, it doesn't apply to you. But Annalieza, if you want to support another female, you get a 50, you pay 50%, I'll donate 50% of my time. And coaching sessions usually an hour, so that's like 10 hours a month that I will donate to coaching women at a discounted rate. I can't do it for free, obviously. I do need to buy my coffee and a few other things, bottle of wine now and then. But so that's my challenge for you women, and even Ken as well. And Ed, you want to sponsor, you want to build more women leaders, first line leaders, second line leaders. I'll help up to 10 of them. But you have to sponsor them.
You will have so many Mexican clients, definitely, Stephen, for sure. Especially my boss. But
Well,
anyway.
I'll take 10. We'll see how it works after that. Maybe if I have more time, but I do have, I do want to write my next book as well. So I don't spend 8 hours a day coaching.
So Diana, do you know some women who can jump into this?
Well, yeah, I may know some, but like talking about personal experience, I do have kind of like a mentor, which is a woman that was my boss in one of my jobs in Canada, and we're still in touch. She's very involved into organizations that support women and girls to be able to achieve education and to be able to put themselves in leadership roles. And it's very interesting because it's funny, I got my first job in Canada because of her. She gave me the opportunity to hire me and gave me the opportunity for me as a newcomer there with a law degree that's useless in Canada, especially for someone with no experience in new grad. And I stayed in touch with her, and she's been supporting me. We have periodic calls every now and then where she actually shares her experiences with me. She gives me tips. She has had like very high positions in the industry where I work in. And I call her my fairy godmother. Like, and I think it's about women empowering other women through their experience, helping, and I never asked for this. She just made a call. She decided to be by my side, and she's been helping me out in building my career and giving me a free advice, literally, and support and setting up these periodic calls where we talk and she supports other women as the same. And as I said, she gives her time to these foundations that support girls. And like, she's someone that probably will be interested in this type of projects and initiatives because she's actually doing this type of work on the side. I mean, she's an attorney, nothing like she's doing something completely. She's retired already, but she's always had this passion of helping women to succeed and have a voice in the business world.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Annalise?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's funny. I mean, what Stephen was saying about women writing books, apart from lovely Adriana here, the only person that springs to mind immediately, and the only one I can think of actually, is Brene Brown. And I don't know, can anybody else think just off the cuff of any other female leadership or management authors?
Yeah, Sheryl Sandberg wrote a book about leadership, but she was
Oh, of course, yeah,
the CEO of Facebook at the time. She's
yeah,
just left the board
yeah.
Facebook, but yeah, you're right. There are so few women authors out there. Unfortunately, I've read a few, but unfortunately, they don't get publicized either. I've read and reviewed a few, but they're few and far in between. I tell you, it's a shame.
They should come on this show and become members of the Global Press Club, and we'll take care of all that publicity. Okay.
No, sorry, Ed. I'm just getting a message to say that my internet connection is unstable, and Stephen was breaking up then, and I'm guessing it was probably just me. So what I'm just gonna come out and come in again. Okay, I'm just going to reboot and come in again and see if I can get it working properly.
Okay, well, we'll be here. Come on back.
I will be. Don't worry. See you in a minute.
That's great. So one of the things that Annalieza has done in her life in the past, quite extensively, is being in theater as an actress and successful, and also as a coach in acting. And she's using those skills, as you could tell. She's, you know, expressive, very expressive. And so she's extremely well trained in the theatrical presentations, if you will. And she's teaching women how to not think of the imposter syndrome as a block from imagining new growth and new things. And she didn't get into that, but I want the audience out there and you to understand that's where she's coming from and why she is really good at this kind of thing. So, Adriana, in KPMG, I don't expect you to tell secrets or anything like that, but in Mexico, it's a law firm and a tax firm, or is it just a law firm?
It's both, and
Yeah.
we have many other business lines. So yeah, and our cluster is US, Mexico, Canada, and Central America. So yeah, it's been a challenge for me because definitely, as we were talking before, I think women we need to lead by example. And right now that I have some people in my charge, I mean, in my team, for me, it is more important to be a good leader for them than to be a boss. You know, I mean, I know I have to achieve some objectives, but for me, it is so important to really be supportive with my team, to help them to learn, to grow. And I was talking a few days ago with Stephen about feedback. This is so important in today's world. I mean, I don't think my boss is very good giving some feedback, but this is maybe one of the things that I want to learn, and I'm so sure Stephen can help me about that, because that's a key, you know, to have, I mean, good communication with your team, with your colleagues, with your boss, with everybody in general. But feedback is definitely a key. So, and happy working in the company. It is a big company, but definitely with so many challenges. Talking about balance, to be honest, I don't think right now, maybe this is because I just have, you know, a few months working in the company. I don't have a balance between my professional and personal life, and I don't like that. So for me, it is important now to have a balance between that two pillars. So we'll see what happens, but definitely is one thing as a leader, I want to work with my team. So
I want to bring back Dr. Ken Lloyd in the book. Feedback is a major part of this and how to do it. And I want to give the microphone to you, Ken.
Sure. Feedback is obviously very important. It's really how we learn. And without feedback in the most basic sense, we don't know how to do anything. We need to know if we're doing something the right way or if there's a better way to do it. So it's not that feedback is all negative and harsh, and it shouldn't be. It should be focused on behavior, provided as close to the behavior in question as possible, positive and, if you will, negative, critical or supportive. But the idea is not to come in randomly, not to focus on aspects of performance that aren't performance at all, but might be personal opinion, might be generalizations, might be bias. But the idea is when we're providing, if you will, continuous feedback to employees, we meet with them regularly. We meet with our team individually every couple of weeks at a minimum, and just talk about how are things going? How can I help you? What do you need? What questions might you have on this project? This went really well. Do you need some more support on another one? In other words, we're keeping the lines of communication open. It's two-way communication. It's respectful. Employees are getting, in quotes, feedback. They're getting guidance on how their work is going, but they're getting much more. It's not in this critical, authoritarian, disciplinarian context. That's gone. It's now, look, we're working together. I can learn from you. I've learned from the employees who were, if you will, my direct reports, and I hope that they've learned from me. So it's really a two-way learning process as well as a two-way communication process. It is not the disciplinarian up in front. You did this wrong. You did this wrong. If you don't fix it, you're done. That type of underlying mentality. Or if it's, you're lazy, you don't show initiative, you're kind of distracted. Those are all generalizations that cannot be substantiated. If a person is lazy, you'd never say that. Hey, I noticed in your work that this came in at this level. We had talked about XYZ level we were seeking. What happened here? How can I work with you? And again, when we talk and give feedback, if you use the word you a lot, it sounds very parental. It's juvenile, and people react negatively to it. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. You. People will shut off to that, as opposed to we. And I want to work with you as a team. And now let's talk about how we can do, instead of you didn't do this or that. Too much you is a barrier creator when you're giving feedback and using that term in a positive way to employees. The idea is, as Stephen had mentioned, we want to be coaching with them. We want to be working with them. We want to be building them. We want to focus on their future. And today's younger employees definitely seek that. They want feedback. They want to know how they're doing, but they want to be going somewhere, taking them somewhere. Where does this go in terms of my career, my growth, my development? And actually, is it bona fide feedback and not this random stuff that comes in on random dates regarding random attitudes and behaviors? That we really want to stay away from.
So do you advocate that it's a coaching session?
Oh, absolutely.
Not an accusation.
It's definitely not an accusation, but coaching will include areas where performance standards weren't met. That's why we're coaching, as well as for other productive reasons to help the employees continue to grow. But sure, and it's not as if it's not coddling. Coddling is different. Coaching is really an educational, developmental kind of process, as opposed to coddling is just, if you will, enabling the same questionable behaviors that were going on in the past. That's not the goal.
So it sounds like you would advocate, I'm just talking about this off the cuff here with no preparation at all, that you would recommend weekly sessions. It could be online, it could be 15 minutes, just to stay in touch as a follow-up thing, as a continuity thing, and not just once a month or even once 6 months.
Of course. I mean, that's the whole notion behind the concept behind continuous feedback. It's at least every 2 weeks. Again, there can be informal, we can do it as needed, but at least, no matter what, because you know how fast time flies and suddenly it's a month. So it's at least every 2 weeks, but sure, weekly is fine. Just to get together, let's talk, how are things going? How can we work more effectively? How can I help you succeed even further in your job? No doubt about it. And
So
every 6 months or any of
Yeah,
that.
thank you. So, Annalieza, welcome back. Hope you can hear us better. And so we're talking about coaching and feedback. And I also mentioned while you were out earlier that your background in theater is very, very helpful to people, particularly women who fear about or don't even want to admit it sometimes, about having a blockage, imposter syndrome. That's not me. That's her or whatever, you know. So how do you, is that, well, you already told me at one time that one of your gigs, and people in business are basically in the same thing. They're on the stage.
Yeah, well, to a certain extent, I would hope that, yes, being, one of the things that, again, I'm keen to emphasize is the importance of authenticity. We all wear a mask to some extent, but taking that mask off, being ourselves, not feeling the need to be someone we're not, or to be like other people, because that just puts a strain on us. And you know, we can't keep that up indefinitely without the cracks appearing, as it were. And when they do, first of all, our health suffers. Secondly, of course, again, going back to that word credibility, it dents our credibility. People want to know who it is that they're really dealing with. And that's something that actually, as a former actress, I've had to really work on, because of course, when you come out of training and you spent 10 years in theatre, not very glamorous theatre, I have to say, but nevertheless, you've been on stage, you're trained, right? You're trained from the minute the curtain goes up. You know, it's eyes and, well, you know, sticking your chest out, we say something else in theatre, and flashing your teeth, right? And playing to the gallery, playing to the gods up there. It's all about projection, because of course you're having to project across, you know, rows and rows and rows and rows of seats. And so when you've had that classical theatre training, it's very difficult to actually switch off. So what I was finding in the early days of coming on camera, not necessarily with you, Ed, but going further back than that, was that I was, wow, you know, again, trying to project. You don't have to, because you're sitting in front of a camera, but the energy that I was putting out there of zing, you know, zing. And then, of course, feeling absolutely whoa, afterwards, you know, drained. And so, you know, this is why I talked last year about stepping back and realigning with my values, realigning with who I really am. And this is why it matters so much that we know who we are. We know that our beliefs are ours, you know, that our values and the beliefs that they are actually forged by and sitting on are our beliefs, and they're serving us well, and that they are not somebody else's. Of course, we form our values, you know, it's said by the age of 10, probably even earlier in our formative years, by what we soak up as a sponge from our families, from our teachers, from our friends in the playground. And unless we stop to question, actually, you know, what do I believe, and where have these stories come from? Where have these beliefs come from? Why am I? Why is my behavior driven by these values? We never really give ourselves a chance to really connect deep down again with who we really are, because in our lives, you talk about imposter syndrome there, Ed. You know, we are subject throughout our lives to other people's opinions of us all the time. And I can't remember how many times it is that we hear the word no in our childhood, but apparently we hear the word no far more, hundreds of times more, than we hear positive affirmation and the word yes. So if you think that throughout our lives, we are, subject to other people's opinions of us and other people's expectations of us, and what I call, that diamond within us, that shining diamond, that pure essence of us that we were born with, is still there inside of us. And yet it's kind of buried under all of this dust, under all of this debris. And what I try to do is help people blow that dust off and find out, who they really are authentically. Again, in leadership, it's really important. And in life, it's really important as well. We wear masks largely to protect ourselves. We wear masks because we feel inferior in some way. So we put a mask on to make ourselves feel bigger than we feel inside. Wouldn't it be lovely to actually take that mask off and just be who we are and be accepted for who we are and accept others for who they are? And I was saying to you the other day, Ed, that we don't need to understand somebody's journey. We don't need to even approve of somebody's journey, to remember that every single person on this planet is a human being with the same feelings and the same desires, like ultimately to have a decent quality of life while we're on this planet, to give our children the best quality of life that we can, to be safe, to be secure. We all laugh, to quote Shakespeare and Shylock's speech in The Merchant of Venice. We all laugh, we all bleed. Yeah, we feel pain or we feel joy. And every single person deserves to be valued for who they are, to be valued for what they bring to the table, to be respected and to be given that basic human dignity, that right to human dignity that we all deserve. As I say, you don't need to understand somebody, but everybody deserves to be valued and respected. In the workplace, really important that people are seen and heard and recognized. And when we're talking about psychological safety, there's nothing more important than that, in the workplace and out of it. You're talking about work and life. So yeah, that's my appeal to everybody today.
Thank you.
Okay.
That is wonderful.
And that's why I said we need more women writing books, Ed. If Annalieza would just talk in front of a camera for about 4 hours, we could create a book out of it. And the title would be Unmask Yourself to Make Your Mark.
Stephen's got it.
That's great.
I've got the title now. I just need to go away and write it.
So I'll send you the transcript of this thing, so you can use it for your words. So Diana, this must resonate with you, with a teenage daughter, and all this preparation stuff.
Yes, as mom of a daughter, I definitely want her to get the best opportunities and to be in a world where more than equality, there's like, equity for women. And once there's equity for women, understanding that the life imbalance of a woman versus the life imbalance of a man is completely different. And when women are provided with equity conditions more than equality conditions, at that point, women are going to have less of the imposter syndrome in a work environment. They're going to have a stronger voice and they're going to feel psychologically safe in a work environment to raise their hands and ask for help. Why I don't feel it is right now, I'm not talking about the company I work in, I'm talking about the world in general, is because I haven't worked in a place where same conditions, similar equity conditions are given to women. I think same conditions are given to men and women. overseeing that women have a bigger burden than men these days. Back in the days, women were just in charge of raising the kids and not just, sorry about the word. They were in charge of raising the kids. They were in charge of cooking, making a home, creating a home in a house. And that is already a heavy burden. But women these days, our burden is even higher because we also have to have our jobs, be respectful in the job environment. We also need to stay fit. We also need to stay mentally stable. And we also need to be the best moms and the best examples and be homemakers. I mean, I'm not saying the men are not stepping in with raising kids and participating in making home, but it's always been the job of the woman. And now that women are working and they do this, we have a heavier burden than men. And the conditions that we're being offered everywhere are equality, they're not equity. We need more than that. And I wish, like, in the future, I don't know what is the solution, what are the proper tools, what needs to be done. I don't know. I'm just a lawyer. But this needs to be in place for younger generations of women to have a voice and to caught on that trend of the imposter syndrome that I'm pretty sure most women have. And it's because of that. Because we're given the same tool as a man and we're supposed to do a lot more with that. And when that is not enough, we feel less because we say we're not enough, we're not doing enough. And that's the difference between the equality and equity that I think it's missing for us to feel secure and safe and completely mentally stable in an environment. And that's what I want for my daughter to happen. Actually, she's dealing with some bullying situations in school. And honestly, I just want to go to school and kill those kids. It sounds horrible. Because those are the bullies that are shouting her voice these days. And that's going to happen in a work environment later on. And I want her to be in a world where this is not the case, where women are provided with bigger tools to have the voice.
I want you to share this video when I send it to you later today. Okay. Watch it together with your daughter. Hey, I want to introduce a new client, a new friend as well. This is Kelly Bagla, and she's here in the San Diego area. She's an attorney, many years, extremely successful, top of her game. She's been called by others the queen of business law. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to meet you all.
Yes, so she is an acclaimed attorney, Kelly Bagla, that's Bagla, and has built a law practice over 20 years, but as I mentioned, super successful. Let me introduce the woman who was just speaking is from Bogota, Colombia, and this is Diana Monsalve. She's an attorney and also on the screen from England, Northern England, or is it Central? Central North England, is Andrea Annalieza Landa, and she's a coach and an author and a business trainer. In the blue shirt is author of 28 books on leadership, Stephen Howard, and he's also a keynoter and coach, leadership coach, and in the gray shirt is Dr. Ken Lloyd, who's in LA, San Fernando Valley, is an author of several books, including and articles, syndicated articles, and this book is a hot seller right now, Performance Appraisals and Phrases for Dummies. So, and this is Kelly. Ken, please say hi.
Hi.
There we go. Okay, who's
Hi,
next?
Kelly.
Hello.
What a wonderful description of your expertise in business law, and God knows we need that more today than ever. And I'm sure you are extremely busy, and it's very kind of you to take a few minutes to chat with us and with Ed's audience today. It's very, very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, Ken.
We just did a show, she and I, an executive interview, and Kelly, it's only been like 36 hours since we did that, but we've gotten so many feedbacks already from me sending that thing around to my network. It's only 500,000 that's seen it so far. So there's still another half to go, but I'll work on that going forward. But I've decided to rebrand the series called, in caps, Link Maker executive interviews, because that's really what it's all about, is branding it. That, okay, why should you do an interview with me? And it's because you want to make links. Annalieza, does that make sense?
Oh, sorry. What was the question again, Ed?
Oh, I know. I'm just mesmerizing you with my voice. I know.
I
And
was typing in the chat actually.
so
Go
I
on.
was just ad-libbing here, and I don't even remember my words, but I'll try to do the gist. I was saying that Kelly and I just did an interview a day and a half ago, and it was sent out to my initial network, which was about 500,000 reach, mainly through LinkedIn. And I'm getting a lot of direct feedback that people are real interested. And Kelly is a dynamic person, as you could just tell from this appearance. So I'm going to stop talking, Kelly. Why don't you just talk a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you, Ed. Annalisa, you're from England. I was born and raised in Birmingham.
I spent 8 years there. I went to
did
drama
you?
school in Birmingham. Yes, I lived in Harborne and studied in
Okay.
Edgbaston.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Yes, yes, that will always be home. But my home, where I've lived for over 25 years now, is California, San Diego in particular.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, and I was sharing with Ed yesterday that I am the baby of 7 siblings, so we're 7 altogether. So 6 of my siblings, they all went into the medical field in some form respect, but me, not me. I'm the baby of the family, right? I decided to follow in my dad's footsteps. I always wanted to go into law, and I'm not sure, Annalisa, whether you might remember this show or not. It was called The Queen's Counsel. It was on TV, might be prior to your time, but I was only about 5 years old then, and I used to watch it with my family, and I loved it when the barrister would come in and save the day, right? And so I shared with my dad, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I don't know what it was, but that's what I want to do. Several years
Brilliant.
later, I stuck to my guns, and here I am. I'm practicing in California. I've been practicing for about 20 years now, and I have just loved every moment of it. From the time I migrated from England to America, that in itself was a huge eye opener. And remember, I was 15 at the time. I was 15 years old
Wow.
when I came out to the States. And so literally, I have somewhat grew up here as well. And my background's kind of it's different, where because I'm the baby of the family, mom wanted me home, right? So I had to go back home for a little bit. I took advantage of that time. I went to law school then I came back out to the States and I did a master's in law, which allowed me to sit for the bar. My very first attorney position was with Baker and McKenzie. It was the largest international law firm in the world at the time. I loved it, right? I was a young lawyer. They gave me an electronic leash at the time. I didn't know that's what it was for, right? Do you remember Blackberries? I had a Blackberry, I had a laptop, and I was just, I've made it. I was putting in 15, 16, 17 hours a day. But I was brand new and I was learning and I loved every moment of it. So I really, really got to learn how to practice law from some of these brilliant minds, not just in America, but internationally as well, because we were in 69 countries at the time. And as
Amazing.
life, sorry?
Amazing.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And as life takes you, right? I said, I saw the politics in big law firms. I know exactly how they work, and I knew it was not for me. I did not want to wake up feeling sick to my stomach and then going into work, right? That just wasn't me. By the way, that's not my American dream. I didn't come over here to wake up feeling, oh, good Lord, I got to go into work. I have to go face people. I don't want to do this. That is not the American dream. I decided that I wanted to go out, and if I can make money for someone else, why can't I do that for myself? I took the bull by the horn, so to speak. I didn't wait for anyone to offer me a job. I didn't wait for anyone to approach me. I said, what am I going to do? I said, I'm going to open my own firm. I didn't have any clients. Let me just share that with you. I said I'm going to open my own firm. And when I left, I told a handful of clients that I was servicing at the firm. At the time, we were able to do that. And there was a handful that actually walked with me. And one client in particular is still my client today. After 20 years, right? He's still my client today. And that really allowed me to develop the type of services that I wanted to provide to my clients, because what's the difference between a business attorney and an actual entrepreneur that does business, right? What's the difference there? One actually knows about the law and the other one actually practices, right? I am an entrepreneur first. I'm an attorney. I love what I do. And this allows me to help entrepreneurs, because it takes an entrepreneur to really understand the needs and mindset of another entrepreneur. So that's what really sets me apart from just other lawyers, if you will. I'm a CEO of 3 companies. I'm extremely proud of that. Yes, I am extremely busy, but again, I am loving life. I'm exploring opportunities, and through the hard work that I've put out there, and all of the accolades and the testimonials, and I'm actually loved. I'm extremely loved by my clients. I've advanced my firm where we are working with high net worth businesses and high net worth individuals as well. But don't take me wrong, I will always have a serving heart to serve any of the entrepreneurs that call our office. If they're just starting out or if they're growing, always would love to serve them, because we are in that business, right? We're all here to serve each other. I am not done yet. After 20 years, I'm still going strong. I still have a lot more to do. During my tenure as an attorney, I have written 6 books. I am way behind you, Stephen. Way behind you. And I also do have a podcast as well. It's in 26 countries. It was nominated, voted one of the top to be in one of the top 20 law podcasts. So very proud of that. Thank you, Ed. I'm also a inventor. I invented a plush toy. I licensed my rights to Mattel. You might have heard of Mattel. So there's literally nothing that can stop me. If I want to do something, I truly go after it. And one thing my dad did teach me, he said to me, he goes, if you want something, go after it with your heart. Otherwise, don't bother, right? And that's my mentality. And that's what I bring to every situation in my life, be it business, be it personal. Do I want it? Do I want it bad enough? And what am I going to do to get that? And that's me really in a nutshell, if you will. And I'm just over here loving life and helping my clients become protected and as they grow. And it really is all about, you can work until your fingers bleed, right? You can keep working and working. That's not the point. The point is, how much are you going to keep at the end of the day? That's the point. You work so you can protect your assets, so you can leave a legacy behind. But that's me. Thank you for the time, Ed.
Oh, you bet. Diana, would you like to ask a question or make a comment?
Yes, no, Kelly, it is very nice to meet you. I do have a question. Because this is something I was talking about before. Is like, for you as a woman who has achieved so much and who's very goal-oriented, for what I have heard so far, how do you deal with trying to get all of the tools from the environment you're surrounded with to be able to succeed in terms of equity versus equality, which is like what I was discussing, where I see that women do not have the same opportunity than men, and that kind of has an impact in their psychological way they perceive themselves, right? That we were talking, Annalieza was talking about like the imposter syndrome and how this is very common and I totally agree. And I think, and this is my perception, that it is very common in women because the way we're provided with the same tools as men these days, but like our burden is bigger. So I see that there's a lot of lack of equity in terms of what we need to be able to succeed at the same level. So we overwork ourselves to try to get there with the same tools and men. So in your case, how's been your experience with this, dealing with this? Like, do you feel you've had the same tools to succeed the same way as if you were a man, or do you feel you have overworked yourself like a lot harder? And where do you think, or why do you think could be a good tool, like to empower new generations of women so they have it not as hard as this generation, but it's easier for them to be where they want to be?
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your background and bringing that to the forefront. It definitely is touching chords with people that obviously are going to listen to your story. Women are going to gravitate towards you because they've gone down that path and they can relate to you. But Diana, I'm a very different breed, if you will. And what I was taught is, one, focus on your goals, focus on what you want, and you put everything into it and you go after it. That's one. Number two is merit. If I work just as hard as my male counterpart, I have the same opportunity as my male counterpart. That's what I was taught. I was not taught about equality. I wasn't taught about, what was the other word you had used?
Equity, which is like
Equity.
what you
Yes.
need to keep the same for everyone,
Yes.
because it's
So,
not the same tools
yeah.
that you need to
So equity and
to
equality, those two words I was not grown up with, right? What I grew up with was, again, focus on your goals, see what you want to do. And then two, it's based on merit. You work as just as hard as your male counterparts. In fact, Diana, with that mindset, I have actually been unstoppable. And I'll share some examples of that. Now, in America, when I started and I wanted to go into law, specifically corporate law, there was only 3%. This is entire America. 3% were women in corporate law. Did that stop me? No, that did not stop me. Okay. And less than that, less than the 3% were minority women in corporate law. Did that stop me? No, that didn't stop me either. So I have a license. I have got the same license as my male counterparts do to practice law. And how I practice law and how my male counterparts practice law, it's based on our specific industry, Diana. I'm just going to take legal for a second. In order for us to be practicing attorneys, we have a lot of schooling that we have to go through. And schooling is supposed to be equal for all, right? It's supposed to be, this is the criteria, this is the exam, you pass it, and either you pass it or you fail. So all my upbringing, that was all equal, apparently, to my male counterparts. As I'm going through school, sitting for the exams, and here I am. And now I'm actually in the workforce. I'm working at a big law firm. And when I was at the law firm, I heard that male attorneys were getting paid more than female attorneys. And this was prior to my time, let me just say that, at this particular law firm. When I started, it was equality right from the get-go, right? So first year associate male, first year associate female, we both got the same payment. We both got the same opportunity. I didn't feel as if I was being held back, or if I was being overlooked, or if I wasn't given the tools, Diana, to actually do my job. Maybe I'm the type of person that goes and takes what I need because I'm focused, right? Again, I don't wait for people to validate me. I don't wait people to say yes or no, I can do something. It's got nothing to do with them. For women nowadays, yes, it's been extremely hard for women because we were the caretakers. In fact, we still are the caretakers, right? But for us to come out now in the workforce, and it's just been recent. Let me just bring this to everyone's attention. It's been recent that back in the 80s, just back in the 80s, right? There was a law passed that women actually could sign for loans. We could actually get loans. This is in the 80s, guys. We're not talking about the the 1700s or the 1800s. I'm talking about 1980. Women weren't allowed to have loans, right? Everything is changing now, slowly but surely. And I think, Diana, when you say, the women aren't given specific tools, or they're not given the same tools as the male counterparts, or we need bigger tools, what I say to that is, if you're not given a tool, create your own tool. Take your own tool to work, right? When people say, oh, this is, International Women's Day, March 8th. Why isn't it Women's Day every single day? Why do we have to wait for someone to say, oh, it's your day today? So that's where I come from, Diana. And I think the one thing that really, really has kept me focused and really has given me the strength to keep moving forward and never, never looking at myself as if I'm a female and my associates is a male. I look at them as attorneys. I'm an attorney, you're an attorney, period. Don't need to know what's under the clothing, right? It's how we practice law and it's how we communicate with the world. The way I'm communicating with you guys now, this is how I actually get clients. I'm very, very straightforward. I'm very to the point. That there's, again, law is supposed to be gray, right? I'm very black and white with people. I'll tell you exactly. And people appreciate this. Just give them what they're looking for in an honest way. But bringing women to the forefront, Diana, I am a huge proponent of that. I will mentor women. I will hold classes for them. But the one thing that each and every woman needs from birth, teach them confidence. Confidence is the tool, is that big tool, Diana, that I carry and I walk around with. And I take that everywhere, into boardrooms, into the courtroom, into family situations, you name it. It's the confidence. That's the tool that I walk with.
Way to go. That's a great performance. Thank you.
It's all
It makes
honest,
for
Ed.
great television.
It's all honesty. It's just me. It's my life. It's who I am.
Oh, thank you very much. What's your website?
Baglerlaw.com. That's baglaw.com.
That's it. That's great. Diana, thanks so much for being on the show. This is, as you could tell, unrehearsed, but it's cool. I love it. Stephen?
No, it's great. I finally somebody brought up the word that I wrote down at the beginning of this conversation 90 minutes ago. She brought up the word confidence, and when we talked about feedback in the workplace, one of the things I do as a leadership coach is I always want to help increase somebody's competencies, somebody's capabilities, but also their confidence. And that's what I keep trying to mentor other leaders on, is to, in your feedback sessions, how do you boost somebody's confidence? And I think particularly more so with women. I'll share a quick story, then I have to unfortunately sign off. I got a coaching call coming up, but I was coaching a couple of women 3 years ago, and they were applying for a General Motors opportunity. General Motors had particularly said they're going to hire women to run events as part of their DEI program at the time. These two women had a company. They wanted to apply for that, to be on the short list of candidates. And then one of them called me and said, we decided not to. We don't meet all the qualifications. I go, what do you mean you don't meet all the qualifications? Well, it said they wanted somebody who also had expertise in public relations, and we don't do PR work. I said, you know what? Have you ever written a press release? Well, yeah, we wrote a couple. Well, you've done public relations. So I worked with them for 3 weeks to prepare their presentation to General Motors, because I said, quite honestly, a guy would say, I meet 80% of the qualifications. I'm going to apply for this. And unfortunately, too many women, and being a little stereotypical, but too many women will say, oh, there's 10% I don't meet, I don't qualify, therefore I won't try. And it's that confidence that Kelly exudes that more women need to exude, particularly more women entrepreneurs, but I would also suggest more women leaders need to exude. And it's not the false syndrome, the imposter syndrome I'm talking about, but have that true confidence in yourself. And that's what I try and build in the people that I coach. So thank you, Kelly, for adding that word to our vocabulary today that had been missing for 85 minutes. So, but sorry, guys, I got to
Thank
sign
you.
off. I've got a coaching call coming up here in about 4 minutes. So I do have to sign off.
Okay.
Have a great
Ciao.
weekend.
Thank you. Ken?
Bye, Stephen.
Yeah, by Stephen. Excellent points. Kelly, listening to your presentation, what can I say? You've really taken the whole discussion to that next level. I think my only point to add would be confidence is important. It's critical. We need it. At the same time, like so many other strengths, when taken to an extreme, it can be a negative. So we have people that we can meet who are overconfident, arrogant, all right? That is not a positive attribute, and that is a major, if you will, turnoff, whether in business or in one's personal relationships. So confidence that you bring out to me, Kelly, is coming from all of your experience, your expertise, your education, the background that you've brought, all merited and projected, not as arrogance at all, but as a smart, strong person in whom I would have confidence, whether on a legal matter or otherwise. But to me, to just have someone build confidence is kind of like you're building the 28th floor of a building and the 27 floors under it haven't been put in place yet. It's got to be built up step by step. It has to be real and genuine. And Kelly, I sense that with you. And I'm going to add Diana and Annalieza, I sense yours as well. Your honesty, to me, is just a sign of the confidence that you have in where you are and where you're going. So I think that's underlying this full discussion today.
Thank you, Doc. In fact, if I may,
Thanks, Kate.
Ed,
Yes.
if I may just sort of add to that really quickly, because Doc, I have heard those words specifically towards females, right? Oh, what does she think she is? Oh, she's so full of herself. Oh, she's arrogant, right? But you know what? My response to that is, if you can walk the walk, you can definitely talk it. So if somebody wants to come up and say to me, you have no idea about equality, you have no idea about equity, I would invite a conversation and discussion with them and actually lay out my life and have them show me. well, show me the holes that you think I've missed, right? Show me where you think I'm arrogant. Show me. That being said, that word arrogant, you women in particular, Diana, that should be our friend, right? Because if we can back stuff up, when I talk, I can back everything up, right? You can clearly see behind me, I do have photos of their cover pages of magazines that actually have done quite a bit of press on me because, again, who I am and what I bring to the table. So if you can walk the walk, you can definitely talk as well. And arrogance is just another way of someone else. It's that it's when someone uses that word and you're not arrogant, that goes to how they feel. They're the ones that are insecure. They're the ones that are not confident. And so they have to feel that they have to tear you down. But you have to know who you are, Doc. That's the bottom line. Yes, carry that tool of confidence with a responsibility, but definitely know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This
Tales I could
is
tell,
great.
honestly.
This is great. Thank you for being my guest on this Global TV talk show. I will do some quick editing, and by the end of my day, I'll get this out to you. Thank you all.
Thank
Please
you,
come back.
Ed.
Be well. Thank
Please,
you.
Bye.
please come back. Thank you.
We will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.